All right, here. Okay, all right, cool. All right, let's talk about this real quick. Oh my god. What's going on, guys? I have a really awesome and fun build for you guys to try out. It is going to be the Vampiric Crusader build. And as you just saw, it can completely shred given the right circumstances. So we're going to get right into this build. And before we even get started with this one, I think I'm going to add to this build later on towards endgame and redo it to get some of the more powerful talismans into this build. But overall, right now, I feel really good about how it stands, especially if you want to use this build to level up through the game. It's going to treat you really well. Everything in this build is going to be giving you health back in some regard, whether you're attacking, whether you're drinking your flask, whether you're killing an enemy, getting criticals, whatever it may be, you should be getting health back, hence the whole vampiric RP of this build. And I've really wanted to do something like this for a while, and I think I finally nailed it. So we're going to go through the talismans, the flask, armor, and your weapons just so you have everything you need. I'll show you guys my stats at the end. I'll show you where everything is that you're going to need for this build. So here we go. So today in this video, we're going to start with the armor. We're going to go over everything I'm wearing and where to get it. And honestly, everything is aesthetic except for one thing. The white mask is very important for blood builds because it's going to give you that 10% damage boost on blood loss, but it looks so stupid. So if you really want to drip out and you're not really worried about the extra damage, you can use Haslow's helm with this set that I currently have, and it's gonna look absolutely phenomenal. However, if you do want to pump more damage out, obviously the white mask is for you. You can get this from one of the assassin invaders in Mohg's palace. I believe it's the third one you encounter is going to drop it for you, and I'll mark it right here on the map just so you guys know exactly where you can get it. Now, as far as the rest of the set goes, I am wearing the Alberch's robe, Knight's Cavalry gauntlets, and Haslow's greaves. You can get the helm and the greaves from the same place when you defeat Haslow in the consecrated snowfields after you do your final invasion, I believe, from Volcano Manor. The Knight's Cavalry gauntlets are also going to be attained from the Knight's Cavalry in the consecrated snowfield, and the Alberch's robe is going to be in what was Roundtable Hold in the Lindell capital. Now let's move into the talismans because these are really where this build starts to shine, especially with the vampiric RP of getting health back based on the things that you do in this game. So starting off in talisman slot number 1, we're going to have the Godskin Swaddling Cloth. This is going to restore HP on your successive attacks, so the more times you hit, the more HP you're going to receive, and it's a little bit crazy how this talisman works, so I'm just going to leave this up on the screen for you so you can read for yourself and pause it exactly how this is going to work. Just know you're going to be getting HP back based on your vigor level, and for the majority of weapons, it's going to take 5 to 7 hits to activate. This talisman is going to be located in Spirit Caller Cave, and it's going to be dropped by the last boss within that dungeon. Moving into talisman slot number 2, we are going to be working with the Assassin's Crimson Dagger. This is going to restore HP based on critical hits, and because of the weapons that we're using, I've noticed that we actually do stagger a decent amount. So staggering enemies is going to help you get those critical attacks, which are going to restore 10% plus a flat 85 health to you, which also goes with the RP of the vampiric build. This talisman can be found reasonably early in the Death Touch catacombs, and it's going to be dropped by a Black Knife Assassin. Now in talisman slot number 3, we are going to be using the Lord of Blood's Exaltation, which is going to give you that fantastic attack power boost of 20% anytime there is going to be blood loss in the vicinity. This is also going to stack very well with the white mask if you are using that, so that'll give you an extra 30% overall, which is super nice. But this will probably be the most difficult talisman for you to get out of the bunch that we're using, and it's going to be located in the capital in the Lindell catacombs after you defeat that final boss. He does do a ton of blood loss damage really quick, so be careful with that, but this is a fantastic talisman for this set, and it's one of our only damage boosting talismans for this build. Moving on to our last talisman in slot number 4, we're going to be using the Taker's Cameo, and this is going to restore HP on defeating enemies, and this does stack with our other HP restoring talisman. So overall, we're going to be getting a lot of HP back anytime that we're getting a kill, a critical, doing successive attacks. It's a really fun way to play the game, and it keeps you from constantly drinking all of your Estus, and you can pretty much go for a very long time in this game without even resting at a grace. So upon defeating enemies in Elden Ring, the Taker's Cameo is going to restore a flat 3% of your entire health bar plus 30 HP whenever you defeat something. So that's a really nice stack on top of the Godskin Swaddling Cloth and the Assassin's Crimson Dagger when that procs. If you want to snag this talisman for yourself, make your way up to Volcano Manor, and it's going to be the 3rd letter quest that you do to kill the Tarnished, and then you will be rewarded with this talisman. Now, before we go into the weapons, I do want to stop and take a moment and explain the talismans a little bit. I am well aware that you could do way more damage with this build if you use Milson's Prosthesis, Rotwing Sword Insignia, got rid of the Godskin Swaddling Cloth, and put a different talisman there. You could do a lot more damage. However, I chose, because of the RP of this build, to do more life stealing, and surprisingly, because this is a level 150 build, I really didn't feel I needed the extra attack power or the extra damage because I was pretty much destroying everything in a few hits, maybe 15 to 20 seconds at most, and I didn't feel like it was needed. So if you think that you could improve this build and put more damage into it, leave it down in the comments below and see what you would add, because I'm curious. And like I said before, I'm probably going to do a 2.0 of this build in New Game Plus to really max out that damage. So with that said, let's move on to the weapons. We are going to be using two heavy thrusting swords. The first one is the Great Epee, and we are going to put the Blood Tax Ash of War on it for, guess what, more lifesteal, and it also helps us proc our blood loss because Blood Tax also causes us to have a blood affinity, which with the Vampiric RP of this build works absolutely perfectly. This weapon is a joy to use. I've really enjoyed it. It has a physical attack of 255 plus 267. It's got a strength scaling of C, a dex scaling of C, and an arcane scaling of D, and it will cause blood loss buildup at 118. This has been a really fun weapon to use, and I never really have used any of the heavy thrusting swords, and I'm so glad that I picked this up. If you want to find this weapon, it's going to be located in Southern Limgrave, right here at these ruins, and I'll mark it for the map for you. It's going to be inside of a chest next to two Caden Cell swords, so make sure to snag this weapon. You are not going to be disappointed. It does come with Impaling Thrust, which you can see me using in some of these clips, and that really staggers enemies pretty quickly, but because we needed some life steal, I put on the Blood Tax Ash of War, and I am very pleased in that. For heavy thrusting sword number 2, we're going to be using the Bloody Hellas. This weapon has a physical damage of 296 plus 301. It has a strength scaling of E, a dex scaling of C, and an arcane scaling of B, so definitely more heavy on the arcane side of things, and it's going to cause blood loss buildup at 76. This is going to stack very well with our Great Epee, which has 118 blood loss buildup, and you're going to proc Hemorrhage really quickly with this build, which I've enjoyed a ton. It does have a unique Ash of War on it, which is Dynast Finesse, and it's going to cause you to flip backwards, and then you can slash your enemy twice with your heavy attack, and it does a really good amount of damage and will build up that bleed really quickly for you. And finally, we are going to be looking at our flask, and we are going to be using the Thorny Crack Tier, which is going to temporarily boost our successive attacks, so eventually we'll get 20% attack power after we've landed 3 attacks. And then we're also going to be using the Crimson Burst Crystal Tier, which is going to steadily restore our HP after we drink in the Estus, and it's going to restore 7 HP per second for 3 minutes. So stacking on top of all the other life steal and the other health regen that we have, this is going to be a little icing on the cake that's just going to make that vampiric build a little bit better. The Crimson Burst Crystal Tier is going to be found from the Erd Tree that is in Weeping Peninsula, and if you want the Thorny Crack Tier, you're going to be looking in the Consecrated Snowfields. In the top right, there's going to be an Erd Tree. Slay that Erd Tree, and then you will have this tier. And guys, that's going to be it for the video. I am going to leave my stats on the screen right here for you. Like I said, it is a level 150 build, and we are going to have the majority of our stats in Vigor, Endurance, Dexterity, and Arcane, so stack out accordingly. If you want to change any of those, feel free and let me know down in the comments. If you haven't subscribed yet, feel free to hit that subscribe button and hit the bell notification so you can know when I'm making more content. I make more videos on Mondays and Fridays with shorts in between, so if you want to leave an armor set in one of the Elden Ring shorts, leave it in the comments of that video. And until next time, guys, stay safe, enjoy the game, and I'll see you in the next one.